This is the only time that I've seen Europeans air their dirty laundry in public, on social media, wherever they thought that they can gain an edge. And please, we need to take a look at this, and this is how a lot of times we are depicted in social media and on any type of media as attacking one another and actually participating in things that we have no knowledge of, but we think we do. So today, I'm going to ensure that we understand a little bit more about the political and presidential election that most of us think we know, but we actually don't. And watch how people that normally won't fight each other will fight each other when it comes down to being the most powerful man in supposedly the U.S. and in the White House. But we know that they're only put there as a puppet. The real power is the ones who tell them what to do.
Can't talk, he can't walk, can't find his way off a stage.
It's clear that when he lost in 2020, something literally snapped in the sky.
Did you know the U.S. employs a unique electoral system in which the president isn't directly elected by the people? Well, I'm Abdul Hai, and this is Bite Sized, where we try to break down the complex into digestible pieces. And today, we're going to be talking about the U.S.'s Electoral College. Now, unlike most democracies in the land of the free, a mere 270 electoral votes derived from the U.S.'s 340 million plus population are enough to secure a presidential candidate the keys to the White House. Right. As you know, in most countries, presidents are elected based on popular votes, meaning the candidate with the most electoral votes becomes president. Well, the U.S. does things a little differently. They call this system the Electoral College, where a group of people known as electors are selected to elect the president and vice president of the United States. Confusing, right? I know. Let me explain. This system was established after the Constitutional Convention of 1787, 11 years after the creation of the U.S. to create a balanced representation of citizens from populous and less populous states in Congress. But how is this representation determined? Well, strap up, because here's where things get a bit numerical. 538 electors across the U.S. are appointed to represent their state in Congress. The number of electors varies based on each state's population. For example, California, the most populous state, has 54 electoral votes, while Wyoming, one of the least populous, just has 3. Now, how are the 538 electors formed, you'd ask? Well, the U.S. Congress has a total of 535 seats. Each state is allocated 2 senators regardless of the population, totaling 100 senators across the U.S.'s 50 states. Then there are 435 seats in the House of Representatives, apportioned according to the population of each state based on the decennial census. Finally, despite not being a state, Washington, D.C. is allocated 3 seats, as provided by the 23rd Amendment to the Constitution, bringing the total number of electors to 538, which corresponds to the combined number of seats in the Congress. Why does it always have to be complicated with the U.S.?
Houston, we have a problem.
Well, moving on. Here is the crucial point. To secure presidency, a candidate must collect more than half of the total electoral votes, meaning the first candidate to reach 270 out of 538 becomes president. Most states use a winner-takes-it-all system, which means that the candidate who gets the most votes in a state wins all the electoral votes from that state. But there's a catch. Most states clearly lean either Republican or Democratic. However, there are certain states that don't align with either party, which lands us comfortably in what the U.S. called swing states, aka battleground states, where the electoral tug-of-war takes place. Since winning a state means sweeping all its electoral votes, swing states become focal points for candidates. States such as Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania play a pivotal role in electoral college, as their votes often decide the winner of the election. Which is why presidential candidates conduct most of their campaigning, fundraisers, election rallies, and advertisement in those states in a bid to convince undecided voters to vote for them. Now, the Electoral College has shaped presidential outcomes twice in the last 20 years. In 2000, George Bush won with 271 electoral votes, despite losing the popular vote to Al Gore. And more recently, in 2016, Donald Trump won 304 electoral votes, despite Hillary Clinton winning more popular votes. Now, it hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows for the Electoral College, because since its inception, there have been over 700 attempts in Congress to address the unconventional electoral system, ranging from proposals to fix it, reform it, or even abolish it. Well, all failed. Critics argue that the Electoral College can override the popular vote and favor swing states, while others see it as undemocratic and say it neglects states that aren't considered swing states. At the end of the day, however, it remains a cornerstone of U.S. elections, driving candidate strategies and voter engagement across the nation. And that, folks, is the U.S.'s not-so-complex Electoral College. So how do you think this year's results would look, with the U.S. poised for what?
So, if you think that the president's seat is not for a puppet, you better look again. You better think back to Abraham Lincoln. You better think back to them trying to assassinate Andrew Jackson twice. Those were nothing in comparison to John F. Kennedy, because he wanted to take back power that has already been in the elite's hands. And they're letting you know that no one is going to thwart whatever they're trying to do. Now, everybody's up in arms about who to vote for, and we have Kamala Harris and we have Donald Trump. And a lot of blacks believe that he's going to do so much for us. Kamala nor Trump is going to do nothing for either. For the fact is, I don't believe for people of color, there's not too much that's going to change. If anything, it's going to get worse. The only reason why I'm voting for Kamala is because I'd rather vote for Kamala than anything that would remind me of why my ancestors died. Now, a lot of us, we have a love for people that hurt us. Okay? Hurt people. Well, our community seems to do things that hurt our community. We haven't gotten nothing for our vote. The most important time for the populace to actually get involved in elections, not saying you shouldn't participate in the presidential, but when you have your House of Representatives and your Senate elections, that's when you're supposed to get something for your vote. But we are so used to not getting anything that we just vote because we think that our ancestors died, trying to vote and everything else. What they were trying to do is make a better life for you. And you're supposed to do it for the next generation. But we seem that we don't understand that. And so we create our own quandary. We create our own problems. But don't you think for a minute there's nothing behind that hidden curtain that is making it very hard for people of color to exist in this world, not only just in the U.S., but all over. Vote, get something out of it, see something that betters your community. Ultimately, it is your choice, but a lot of us seem to choose the thing that hurts us the most.